The Zerń Dominion was built on conquest. Planet after planet, species after species, they all fell. Some surrendered before the warships arrived, some fought and were crushed. The Zerń weren't just an empire, they were a warning etched across galaxies. Resist, and you vanish. But Earth was different. The first time Earth's signal was intercepted, it came from an old satellite barely working. A broken song in the void, filled with chaos, war broadcasts, music with violent rhythms, movies about humans killing each other, screaming sports commentators, laughter mixed with explosions. To the Zerń, it was the sound of a species either completely unhinged or dangerously evolved. Still, protocol was protocol. The Earth report landed on the table of High Commander Kothvar. He glanced at the translation logs and snorted. Primitive language, carbon-based, no interstellar travel. An easy harvest, he muttered, not even bothering to read the last pages. He approved the assault with one swipe of his claw. 3 dreadships were dispatched. 2 weeks later they vanished. No message, no signal, no debris. That had never happened before. The Zerń don't panic, but they take patterns seriously, so they sent 10 more dreadships. This time, they armed them with planetary erasers, weapons that could melt a moon in under a minute. They loaded the most elite war breeds. The Mind Piercers, the Atom Flayers, the Claw Lords, all gone. No trace, no distress beacon. Just silence. Now there was a silence in the war chamber, too. Every general's eyes stared at the dark hologram of Earth. High Commander Kothvar's jaw clicked as he watched. "They are not advanced," he hissed. "We scanned them. They are divided. They pollute their own skies. They fight over skin colors and oil. But they also made nuclear fire before discovering deep space," muttered a younger general, "and they laugh while watching death." There was a pause. Kothvar ignored him. "This time we go ourselves." He brought the Maul, the Zern's largest dreadnought, a floating city of annihilation, 50,000 war units, cannons that could melt continents. Inside the ship's war bridge, they played the Earth's signals again. Laughter, explosions, madness, screaming crowds cheering as machines raced in circles. Music that sounded like rage made rhythm. "What is this emotion?" one of the Zerń analysts asked. "Why are they smiling while destroying each other?" Another responded, "It's entertainment." The Zerń didn't understand, but they didn't have to. They just had to destroy. The Maul slipped into Earth's orbit without resistance. "Primitive," Kothvar whispered. "No planetary shield, no orbital defense. Their atmosphere is still filthy. They don't even have a unified world command." "Deploy drop pods," he ordered. 5,000 pods shot from the Maul, burning streaks across the sky. They landed in cities: New York, Tokyo, Rio, Lagos. No resistance, just terrified humans filming the invasion with small glass boxes in their hands. The first attacks began. That's when things started going wrong. At first it was simple sabotage. Communications jammed, not by Earth's tech, but by strange electromagnetic storms that appeared out of nowhere. Then the AI cores of their warbots started glitching, refusing commands. Some turned on themselves. Then came the humans. Not soldiers, not governments, just people. People who showed up in homemade armor, wielding weapons made from kitchen parts and scrapyard tech. Some had guns from centuries ago. Some had baseball bats with nails. Some wore old gas masks with duct tape across the mouth that said, "Come and take it." And they didn't fight like any enemy the Zerń had seen. They weren't organized. They didn't retreat. They didn't fear death. They laughed while fighting. One squad of Zerń warriors were ambushed by a gang of humans in an old subway tunnel. They weren't military. They were just survivors. One wore a shirt that said, "I told you aliens were real." Another was blasting a speaker strapped to his chest that screamed something called metal. They tore through the Zerń, not because they were stronger, but because they didn't care about dying. They cared about killing the invaders more than they cared about surviving. One of the Zerń officers was caught alive. Before his execution, a human girl, no older than 16, looked him in the eye and said, "We don't fear death here. We made horror a hobby." The transmission from the mall cut off an hour later. The ship vanished from orbit. Earth's skies were quiet again. But the stars? The stars whispered. Another species had just learned the reason no one ever came back from Earth. The stars across Sector 9 dimmed the moment Earth was blacklisted in the Dominion's Grand Archive. One word glowed red beside the planet's name. Untouchable. No explanation. No warning. Just a sealed fate. The decision came from the High Circle themselves. Elders so ancient and powerful that even High Commander Kothvar answered to them. The Circle had only declared 2 other planets untouchable in history. One had collapsed into madness after ingesting their own god tech. The other? No one spoke its name anymore. Now Earth joined them. But silence is a fragile thing, especially in a galaxy fueled by conquest and arrogance. Not all species believed the stories. Some refused to accept that a pre-warp civilization could destroy not 1, not 2, but 3 full invasions of the Zerň's finest. Among the doubters was Ka Thulon, warlord of the Threx Confederacy. Unlike the Zerň, the Threx didn't believe in large armies or heavy weapons. They believed in surgical conquest, stealth, infiltration, psychological warfare. "If the Zerň failed," Cathulon declared, "it is only because they used brute force. Earth must be cracked open with subtlety." He sent a team of 13 infiltrators, genetically altered to mimic humans. Each one was embedded with neural cloaks and memory shields. They were to blend in, learn Earth's secrets, and report back. They landed quietly, no massive ships or flashy attacks. Just 13 shadows dropped across the planet, into cities, towns, and even a remote farmhouse. The reports began a week later, but they weren't what Cathulon expected. Infiltrator 12, who landed in a Midwestern American town, reported being adopted by a group of strangers within hours. They gave him food, shelter, and clothes, despite his awkward speech and odd behavior. One night, while he tried to decode their primitive systems, they invited him to something called barbecue. He described it in confusion. "They cooked animal flesh over fire, laughed, fed me more than I could eat. One called me brother after only knowing me 2 days." He sounded disoriented. Infiltrator 6, placed in a dense urban zone, had a different problem. She'd been taken in by a gang, not military, not official, but they carried more weapons than a Threx outpost. Instead of hiding, she found herself riding in armored trucks through burning neighborhoods. The gang leader told her, "We don't trust the government, we trust each other." She noted, "They prepare for war even when there is none. They celebrate survival like it's a sport. They think being paranoid is smart." Day by day, more reports came in. Infiltrator 9 tried to provoke violence in a school by introducing chaos into the power grid. But the children laughed. The entire class turned it into a game. One hacked the building's server and played heavy music